Good evening to you. Good evening to Shane. And let's turn off the music and talk some sports. And welcome to Meldon Law Monday. Hello, Shane. If I can get you on here, we'll get you on. Here we go. There you go. Hi, Shane. How you doing, buddy?
What's up, buddy?
Just getting a little music, trying to get in the mood tonight for a Meldon Law Monday. Starting the week back. How was your weekend, Shane? I hope it was good.
It was good, man. A lot of basketball to watch. Played a little golf and watched a ton of golf.
I want to talk to you about that golf thing. I'm a little disappointed in what I saw, and it might just be me, but we'll talk about it in a minute. But let's lead off with the lead. Let's not bury the lead. Florida gets beat in a game that they were dominated on, and you can come away from that with two different views, Shane. Come away with the view that maybe they need to have a comeuppance. They obviously got manhandled by Vanderbilt. The physicality was the worst part of it. But every team could use a good loss at the right time. And nobody has ever gone into the tournament red hot except maybe back in the day of Indiana in, 76? They came in undefeated, one undefeated. So I don't know. What's your take on that and how much damage you think that was done to Florida by Vanderbilt? And what do you think we'll take it to get it fixed?
Well, Vanderbilt's an elite offensive team. I think we beat Vandy in Nashville 98-94. So they've had success scoring on us. They're hard to slow down. And they dominated every phase there was in the game the other day. You don't even worry about it anymore. You just flush the tape and just move and get ready for the NCAA tournament.
I think you're right on that. I think you're correct. By the way, coming along later, we'll have Kevin Brockway will join us to give us his take on the game, and Franz Beard, who was there in Nashville at what amounted to a home game. Bridgestone really becomes like a Vanderbilt agenda, and there were a lot of people there from Vanderbilt, weren't there?
Well, I think, obviously they're the host school because it's not their normal gym, obviously, but
Memorial
it's a couple miles away from campus.
10, yeah.
It's usually regardless of where the SEC tournament is, and I think they should keep it in Nashville forever. It's always Kentucky brings more people than anybody, and then once they lose, they just give their tickets or sell them. So Vanderbilt had a good amount of folks there in our game, and obviously in the championship game against Arkansas.
Shane, what's strange about it? What a difference a day makes, because on Friday, if you looked at all the results of everything that happened in Gators sports, the gymnastics team set another national record for a score. As the baseball team won its the first of its games in a series in SEC opening play, snap back. You had the basketball team winning, beating Kentucky for a third time. There was one more I'm missing in there. I can't remember, softball maybe. But they just absolutely owned Kentucky completely and could not do anything wrong. And everything was magical. You know how it is some days you go out and every putt goes in the hole. And then the next day on Saturday, they couldn't do much right. It changed it overnight, and they had won all those games in a row. And it's just a waste of fortunes of sports go.
Yeah, I didn't think we played very well against Kentucky personally. I thought we sputtered around, and the key is just to win in advance. But we took it on the chin against Vanderbilt. It is what it is. Got your asses beat, and you just forget about it and move forward, because now is what really matters.
What do you think? You like this? They got the number one seed. They dodged that bullet. They may have to play Houston again. I don't do a lot of bracket analysis, although I'm doing one this week for another program here in town, because I'm just terrible at brackets. I've acknowledged a long time ago I'm a failure at picking basketball games. Have been. I would go out of town, cover the games, be there, all that stuff, and I'd give my wife, my then wife, a set of brackets because she liked it, and she'd pick on the color of uniforms, and she beat me every year. Mm-hmm. So I could not even beat her. So I was terrible at it. So I've acknowledged I'm awful at it, but it looks like a favorable bracket for Florida, good place to be. If they can maintain what they've been doing, they got size, rebounding, and defense. They got to go back to work on their defense. They give up too many threes. That was a coach's decision, not a good one, by the way. So, what do you think has to be done there, Shane?
I mean, you just got to find ways to win games. They'll win the first game easily. And then the second game, I'm not even sure who they'll be matched up with. Is it Vanderbilt? No. I'm sorry. It's either is it Clemson or
Clemson, whatever. I don't have the bracket in front of me, but it's Sunday.
Yeah, it's the 8-9 game.
Yeah, it's a Sunday game.
Yeah, and then there's a chance they'll play Vanderbilt after that, I guess, and then have to face Houston. I mean, look, once you get in the tournament, I've never understood these people that go, the East is much more difficult than the West. I mean, the 1, 2s, and 3s in each bracket, any of those teams can win the national title, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. I think after watching all year long and then watching a lot this weekend, or not just the weekend, but all during championship week, I think the Arizona Wildcats are the best team in basketball.
Do you really?
I do.
Well, Duke's
I don't know why they're not the number 1 overall seed. I think they're clearly. I think they got size. They got tremendous guard play. They got great shooters. They're physical. My eyes just say I think Arizona's going to win the national title.
I don't know. I haven't made my pick yet, but Duke is favored. Duke's also in there, and then and you still got Michigan, a team that looks like Florida would not match up well against. I don't think. Do you?
Well, Michigan, Iowa State, Kansas.
I'm not worried about Iowa State and Kansas. I think Florida can beat either one of those.
Well, Iowa State had Arizona beat, but Arizona hit a last-second buzzer beater. But Iowa State just got the best shooter in college basketball back for the tournament. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's made like 140-something three-pointers this year.
A lot of points.
Iowa State is a very good basketball team that can go deep. And, I mean, if they go to the Final Four, it wouldn't surprise me. I think they're that good.
Well, there is that give and take, losing in players and getting players back. The biggest breaking news is Aiden Holloway from Alabama. He's been removed from the campus. And at first we weren't sure. It's like it was a random stop and they found some weed on him or something. But there was apparently, listening to Feinbaum today, the Office of Student Conduct investigated the situation and found out that there was a bus is what it was, and so they aren't going to have him.
Yeah, he's a good player, but I don't think Alabama's going to go. They play zero defense, and they're high powered offensively, but I just can't see them make a run, even if he was playing.
Yeah. Shane, can you do me a favor and just speak on the issue of the tournament, of the brackets, who you like, for a minute or so while I take this call from Brendan? We apparently have an emergency. So if you would do that, I'll be right back, okay? Size up the brackets and tell me how you see Florida doing, okay?
Well, I gotta find the bracket, so I'll be.
All right, well, you go ahead and we'll just jabber until I get back. I'll be right back.
Okay.
And I just want to excuse me for a second. We're having some kind of issue, apparently.
All right. Well, as I was saying, I think there's 8 or 9 teams that can win the national title. Let's pull it up here. If I can pull up the bracket. I think Duke can win it. I think St. John's can win it. I think Kansas can win. I think Michigan State can win it.
What's up? I'm on the air.
I think UConn can win it.
I'm on the air. You call me.
I think the Gators can win it.
Yeah. Okay. You need it? All right. I'll call you.
I think Illinois can win it.
Okay. I can't do it right. Just text me. Okay.
Arizona.
I got to go. I'm on the air live.
I think Arkansas, Purdue, Michigan, Texas Tech, and Iowa State. Those would be all the teams I think could win the national title.
All right. In your gut, how do you feel about Florida?
I mean, I think we'll be fine. The key is we've got to play better defense. Well, again, I think Vanderbilt's one of the top offenses in America.
Well, their
And
guards are good.
well, their bigs are good. Their bigs can shoot.
Yeah, they
That's what
did. They
killed us.
made a lot of the bigs made a lot of threes. They didn't.
Right.
They gave it up to them. Yeah.
Well, that's usually you let bigs and we roll the dice and
Yeah.
didn't work.
Yeah.
But we couldn't score either though.
Yeah. Something missing there for sure. Well, anyway, so Holloway's apparently gone. There's more to that, as I said, than what we knew. And the first degree possession of marijuana, he was apparently selling. So I can't see him coming back. So that's a big loss. He's the number 2 scorer for Alabama. Dick Vitale, not that it necessarily means anything. Who do you think he picked to win the national championship?
Maybe the Gators.
Yep, he picked the Gators to win. Yeah. And here's a good list here. You're pretty good at this. I'm not good at it. But Florida played 14 teams that made the NCAA tournament. How many do you think you can name up?
That we beat?
Yeah, made the tournament. 14 teams.
Arizona that we beat or we played?
Actually played. Played 14.
Arizona, Duke, TCU, Tennessee. Well, it's those, and then it's all the SEC schools that made it. 10 SEC, or nine, not counting us.
Yeah, they went 8. They went 12-6 through here, and here are the teams they played. Played several of them twice. They played Duke, Arizona, UConn. They played Arkansas, Alabama, Vandy, Tennessee, Kentucky, Miami, Georgia, TCU, Missouri, Texas A&M, Texas, and they went 12-6. The team that gets the choke award for the worst performance is Auburn. Auburn, just pathetic. I think they went to the NIT, didn't they?
I don't know if they accepted it. Some schools.
FSU did not. They turned it down.
Yeah. And they had Duke beat the other night. They lost by 1 on the last second shot.
They did. The same thing Florida did. Yeah, the same kind of game. So I don't know how much you get into the betting. I don't get into it much, but apparently here's some stats that I saw. By the way, before I go there, let me just say there are 4 teams not to make a bowl game, the NCAA tournament, or women's NCAA tournament. None of these teams. Auburn, Boston College, Florida State, Mississippi State, Rutgers, and Stanford. Ouch. That hurts. So here's some spreads. There's some stuff. I don't follow it that closely, but apparently all 4 or 5 seeds are at least 8-point favorites over 12 seeds for the first time because this field expanded. The average spread in 4 versus 13 games is minus 14.3, the largest ever. The average spread in the 3 versus 14 games is 19.5, the largest ever. All 4 2 seeds are at least 20-point favorites over the 15, the first time since 86. So they're saying what this means is they're top heavy. It's a top heavy. The good teams are really good, and there's not many real good teams, which doesn't necessarily bode for upsets and Cinderellas. And so just so you know the rules of upsets or whatever, you obviously you never want to pick a 1 versus 16 or 16's happened once, I think. But apparently, according to Bob Ryan, who knows as much basketball as anybody I've ever known, he says true NCAA tournament upsets begin at 4 through 13. And don't even think about going 9/8. That's not an upset, right? So do you see this as a possible, not a lot of Cinderellas here? You think you're going to go chalk here, Shane?
Mm-hmm. I don't think any of the 1, 2s, or 3s will be even challenged for a while. The only 4 or 5 seeds I think they can advance a long ways are Texas Tech and Arkansas. I don't see much. Now, I think Santa Clara is going to beat Kentucky in the first round, but they'll lose the next round to Iowa State. But I just think, like I said, there's about 9 or 10 teams that are really, really good teams. And then there's just a lot of just average teams in this tournament.
There are a lot of average teams. And I thought they get 10 SEC teams in.
They did.
Yeah. About right, probably, I think. Yeah. I was asked today on the show this morning about what conference do you think has the best teams overall? And
I think it's the Big 12.
Yeah, I think most people are saying it's the Big 12.
Their top 6 teams are as good as anybody in America, and all of them could win the national title.
Yeah. Talk about some of the players that you've seen you've really been impressed with. Anybody besides the ones we know, the obvious ones.
I think the best player in the tournament, obviously AJ DeBonsa from BYU's probably going to be the first pick of the draft.
Yeah, he's awesome. I think he plays entire games, doesn't he?
No, he comes out. But if
I saw 1 game or 2 games where he did not come out.
Maybe not. But if I had the first pick in the NBA draft, I'm taking Darius Acuff from Arkansas.
He looked great, didn't he?
He's the best player in America, in my opinion.
He showed up and showed out.
He's done it all year long. I mean, there's only been 3 people in the history of the conference, buddy, that have won SEC Player of the Year as a true freshman. He's one of them.
How about Cal?
Who?
Calipari.
He's got a good team.
Kind of giving up for dead, and all of a sudden here he is. Got a championship team.
He's got a chance. They're very, very athletic. They're long, but with Darius Acuff, he's going to be the best player on the court in every game they play. We'll see if he can help them win a bunch of games. I do think Arkansas makes a run, though.
Yeah, I just don't believe in Arkansas. I think they got some good players. I just can't get my arms around it. This one, maybe it's me. Obviously, Acuff's a fantastic player. We'll see how that turns out. Yeah, so unfortunately, some bad news tonight. I hate to break it to folks, but we've lost the son of a Gator legend, and Brad Culpepper's son. I don't know this backstory on him. I think he had at one point had cancer. I'm not sure. Maybe you know it. You know about him?
Yeah, he used to come to mine and Kerwin's quarterback camp for years, and it came out tonight that he was killed in a motorcycle accident riding dirt bikes.
Dirt bike, yeah. And Rex, the son of Brad, I don't know if he got over his cancer, if he still was healing up from it, or what. Do you know?
No, his cancer was back when he was in college. He's been out of college. He's I think he's 29.
Yeah.
Or was 29. So it's terrible news.
It's terrible news. You sure hate to. Hate to see parents burying their kids. It just doesn't seem right, does it?
Nope.
Shane, let me ask you about another sport here. What do we go to do? We'll talk a little golf because we'll talk. I had a hard time getting into the golf tournament, and it really bothered me.
Wow, it was a phenomenal golf tournament.
I know, but to me, I something about it. I think it's the players. I just can't get excited about the players.
But here's what you got to do: is you got to realize you got to put the old Arnold Palmer, Lee Trevino, Jack Nicklaus days out, because the talent from top to bottom on the PGA Tour is like it's never been, and anybody can win. I mean, Cam Young's number 4 in the world. He played unbelievable.
Shane, you're talking down to me now. You know better than that. I'm not
No, I'm
talking
not.
about. I'm
I'm
not
stating
talking
fact.
about Jack Nicklaus. If you listen to what I'm going to say this on your show tomorrow, because I think it's evident now that the Live tournament has hurt the PGA Tour. And
No,
well, yes. I'll tell you why. Now I'm a Georgia Spieth fan, as you know. He's played better, but he's not back yet. I love to
he's
see
not.
him play.
He's not as good as the guys that
I
he's.
understand he's still on a comeback. He's not completely up to it. But I love seeing Brooks Koepka out there. That was great to see him. He made a nice run. He finished what he finished 8 under. And I began to realize I've missed Koepka, although I wasn't ever a huge fan. And I missed DeChambeau. I think DeChambeau was just a hell of a talent. He's kind of crazy and funky, and I like that. And John Rahm was a hell of a player. So I think I was having a hard time getting into some of those guys. I just
Well,
couldn't. I mean, I know the young players and all that,
well, they're
but
so
it's
freaking
fine.
good.
But I don't have anything invested in some of those guys. I just
I
don't.
have zero invested in not one player on the PGA Tour, but I like to watch extremely competitive golf at a high level. And this weekend's tournament was as one of the best tournaments I've ever seen.
Well, you saw the leader take the Big Apple. You know, he didn't. Oberg couldn't finish the deal. He had to
He
get
hit two
tournament.
bad shots that took him out of the tournament.
Yeah, I quite frankly thought they couldn't catch him, but they did. So, anywho, that was that. Now, let me just tell folks real quick. Well, I got to get you out of here quickly tonight about these guys, the legends, and this event coming up. And we'll got Franz Beard join us here in just a minute. This event is something that's quite special. I talked to the guy who's running it the other night. I had him on the show. I know you know about it. It's the Florida Legends, and of course, this is an opportunity for people if you ever want something really special, this is it. A chance. Go to Spurger's Ground Grill on the 30th. There are two events, one in the morning, one in the evening. And you join Steve Spurrier, Danny Werfel, Tim Tebow on the Legends Gala, Spurger's Ground Grill, from Monday, March 30th. And three Heismans, two events, one legendary day, March 30th. And you have an opportunity to have your picture made, and you can also catch a pass from one of those guys. Most likely not Coach Spurrier, right? More than likely Danny Werfel and Tim Tebow. So it'll be a special night raising money for a good cause, Isaiah 117 House. Shane, do you know about the Isaiah 117 House?
Yeah.
It's a neat place. They take children who are in process of going to foster homes, and they get them clothes and food and whatever in transition, because it takes a while to get those people, and these kids are left out there, and they take them in and they care for them. And this is a really good organization. I had not known much about it, but check it out. And it's just something that you will be glad that you did, a special night. This guy's special with his hat on right here. Shane, you got to get yourself a hat like this.
No, I don't wear hats. I don't wear
How
hats.
come you don't wear a visor, Shane?
I do. I wear visors every time I play golf.
I don't see you on the air with them.
I don't wear hats inside.
No,
I don't wear hats.
No,
Only time I
you
wear a
just
hat,
never-
I wear visors when I play golf.
You never got the visor thing. I'm surprised your ball coach didn't let you. So this guy's been running around up to Nashville watching basketball, and he told me this day, Shane, not to worry. They'll be just fine. That's kind of what you said, Shane.
Yeah, I mean, I maybe it's because I played. When you get your ass beat, you just forget about it and move forward, and that's what happened the other day. Like I said, they're going to need to play well in this tournament. Once they get past the first round, they got to find ways to advance, because there's about 8 teams, in my opinion, buddy. I keep telling them they can win the national title. We're one of those 8.
Yeah.
But there's some other damn good teams out there.
Yeah. Here's a guy who was there and saw it, and he tells me that it's all good. It's going to work out fine. Am I right? What you said, Shane? I mean, France?
I think the Gators are in good shape. I'm not, Todd's very confident with them, and all you got to do is look at, they've had 3 bad losses in the last 2 years. Georgia last year, they lost up there. So the way they do, they go on a 12-game win streak, take the whole national championship. Auburn this year was a bad loss. What do? They go on a 12-game win streak. Well, they lost to Vanderbilt, and I think that was a bad loss. No way to get around the fact that was a bad loss. But here's the thing: you got to take chances in games with teams like Vanderbilt. Are you going to let Tyler Tanner? Are you going to let Tyler Nickel and Duke Miles bomb away from 3, or are you going to take the 3 away from those guys? They were 3 for 10. And let the big guys who are shooting 28% shoot. Florida took the chance, said, okay, big guys beat us. And they did. They went 7 for 10. They went 1 for 10 on Sunday against Arkansas. So some days guys just have it. And they had it that day. I think Florida got frustrated over the 2 days because let's just say the whistles were non-existent under the goal. Ruben Chinyelu got beaten up. Alex Condon was covered with red splotches and bruises when I was in the locker room Saturday. These guys took a beating down there, and there weren't a lot of calls. They let them get away with it. I think Florida handled the physicality better in the game against Kentucky. But you look at this. They get 50 rebounds to 29 against Kentucky. They had 39 rebounds to 24 or 23 against Vanderbilt. They rebounded the basketball, but when they tried to put it back up, they got mugged. I'm not going to blame it on the officials. They still had chances to win the game. Officials don't win or lose games for you. I'm convinced that. They influence how the game is played, and it's up to you and your team to adjust to it. And I don't think Florida adjusted to the officials well Saturday against Vanderbilt. And I
would agree with that. Shane, would you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, in Vanderbilt, like I said, buddy, earlier, they're an elite offensive basketball team. I mean, they got elite shooters at every position. They space you, and they put a lot of pressure on you. And it was just one of those games where, I mean, they played extremely well, and I don't think we played our best. And, whether there's some calls here or there, but look, that game is over with. I'm not worried about it. You just look forward now. Throw the tape away and move forward.
Well, I'd like to believe that's possible. I do, however, have to question a couple of things. And I'm just saying, listen, this has been a fantastic run, and we're given to expect perfection. But the decision not to guard the 3-point bigs with a 3-pointer was a bad decision. That was their game plan. They admitted to that. And it was a day when everything that Vandy threw up there, they made. They got good players, but their bigs are shooting 3-pointers, and they're shooting at a high, 50%? And Florida's shooting Franz, about 15%.
Florida shot 5 for 17. The next day, Arkansas used the exact same defensive strategy. Didn't change a bit from what Florida did. They ran Tanner, Miles, and who is it? Nickel off the 3-point line, and they let the big guys shoot. The big guys went 1 for 10. It just goes. Some days they
just don't fall. I know.
I mean, Tyler Nickel, the only 3 he hit, he's falling down and he just flips it up like that, and it banked in. He may make that shot if he practiced it. He may make that shot 1 out of 50 times. It went in on this one. So that was the kind of day it was.
What'd you say, Shane?
Well, I mean, when you're playing going into games, you got to take something away, and they tried to take away what the Vanderbilt's best players are their 3 guards.
Yeah,
and it didn't work. And tip your hat and move forward.
Yeah.
it's teams try to take away, us scoring in the paint. And if we don't make shots on the outside, there's a chance we could lose the basketball game.
Yeah. This team's been fun to watch, and they didn't play their best. And they got beat. And that's what's going to happen. So I think I don't know. I'm not going to make my picks yet, but I think there's a pretty good chance to see them in the Final Four. What do you think, Shane?
I hope so. I think they'll play Vanderbilt again, and I think we'll beat them. And then, of course, the Houston Cougars, they got that stud freshman point guard, Kingston Flemings. I think that's his name. Is that his name, Franz?
Yep.
He is ridiculous. And they're physical as heck. We know about them from last year. But I like our chances of getting there. I still think Arizona's the best team in America. And I hope we play. I have us playing them, and I hope we beat them.
Dick Vitale says Florida will beat Arizona in the championship game.
Yeah, I told Shane that's about his pick earlier. You sent me his pick.
Here's the thing about Houston. They're going to have to get to Florida. They're going to have to get through Illinois. They match up better against Florida than they ever will against Illinois. Illinois is like kryptonite, I promise you, to Houston, unless Houston comes up with some kind of game plan that's out of their rectum. I don't know. They could, but Illinois is a team that will match up horribly for Houston, and I think Houston is I think Houston's hoping and praying they can get by Illinois to get to Florida, because I think I think they will match up better against the Gators.
Before I say hello to Kevin, I want to remind folks about Meldon Law. Check them out. Meldon Law are our sponsors. They've been sponsoring us for a long time. They do many good things in the community, not the least of which is they're the only insurance firm, official insurance firm at the Florida Gators. Meldon Law, Jeffrey, you know about all the epic things he does. You see him traveling with the basketball team as he was the other night. He also helps out in many other ways around the program. He's been a tremendous booster, a big Gator fan. He's a lawyer. You should know that in case you're looking for one. And sooner or later, you need one. And I've had a good experience as my lawyer. And Meldon Law, they're getting bigger all the time. I see Kerry doing more and more things as he takes over the managing partnership. Does a terrific job. Law firm's expanded down to over 50 attorneys, including one in South Florida, mostly centered here up in North Central Florida. So if you need help in the law department, certainly a good place to go is to Meldon Law. They won't back down. Before we let Shane go say goodnight, we'll say goodnight. Hello to Kevin. What's up, Kevin?
Good evening, guys. I was hearing all your prognostications for the South. I know that with Caleb Wilson out in North Carolina, is not going to be much of a threat. What about Randy Bennett and St. Mary's? Any chance that they can upset Houston, Franz? What do you think?
Yeah, because of the way they're a very physical team too, and they're going to play typically about a 60 possession ball game, Kevin, and the slower possessions. We used to think that favored Houston, but this year Houston has sped up its offense considerably, and St. Mary's is still the same old St. Mary's, and they're very capable of scoring on the inside. They're very capable of defending. So that game could be a rock fight. I think that's a tough matchup right there.
Yeah, no, it's going to be I think interesting too to see, and then if there is a Florida Vandy rematch, what's interesting about Vandy is, they've got a short turnaround Thursday afternoon, and they're facing a McNeese team that's really scrappy. So, if I'm a Florida fan, I'm rooting hard for McNeese for a 5-12 upset. But I do think, I just did a story about the three teams that Florida doesn't want to face, or, in the South region, they're the bad matchups. And I've got Vandy, I've got Illinois, and I've got Houston. Those three. In terms of, and I do think a Florida Vandy rematch, Shane, in the Sweet 16 would still be problematic. just because of Vandy's ability to turn teams over, and that Florida's guards are going to have to be stronger with the ball. They're going to have to make better decisions. I mean, Todd talked about that today. Felt like the team played a little too sped up in the SEC tournament, and maybe the pace of the NCAA tournament, maybe you do slow it down a little bit because, I was talking to, I think, Chris Dorchet from Blue Ribbon. He says, the heart rates are a little different. The pressure is more intense because, the season's over. Maybe if you play Vanderbilt slower, if you beat them in the Sweet 16, maybe that would work to Florida's advantage, but we'll see.
All right. Before Shane goes, anybody got a red hot pick they want to get in? Here's my super pick in my brackets. I don't have any, but if you got one.
I got St. John's going to the Final Four.
Really?
How about that, Rick Pitino?
Wow.
I like that. I've got Lehigh beating Wisconsin in a 5. Not Lehigh, excuse me. High Point beating Wisconsin in a 5-12.
High Point's winning everything lately.
And I got Santa Clara beating Kentucky.
I like Santa Clara against Kentucky a lot. I like I thought Alabama could go into the shooter's coma and win most every game, but this bit about Holloway,
they've lost him.
That really, really hurt them. I'll tell you,
number 2 scorer.
Yeah.
Another example of Nate Oates, a fine molder of young men.
Exactly. I'll tell you a team that I like in the West, and that's BYU. I think they've got the best player in the country.
He's terrific.
AJ Devanza. I think he is the best player in the country. I know that everybody wants to give because Duke's number 1, so everybody's going to give Cameron, Boozer the player of the year, and he's a great player. I mean, I'm not trying to take anything away from him, but I think the best player in the country is Devanza. I mean,
I think it's Darius Acuff.
He's right there with him too. Devanza though is 6'9", and I could see him filling out and adding 25 pounds, and all of a sudden he's 6'9" and 240, like a guy who used to play at Michigan State who went on to play with the Lakers, who's a pretty good point guard, 6'9", 240, named Magic Johnson. And I could see that happening at the next level.
Shane,
so many amazing freshmen, though, when you look at it. So many amazing freshmen.
Franz, we talked about this about 4 weeks ago in the bench. I was so impressed. I watched him for a night. And I said, could this be true? He didn't come out of the game. He played every minute. And I called you, and you said, yes, he did. And he was such a baller. And I would tend to agree with you. He's up there for one of the best players. But if BYU was ranked higher, maybe. All right, let's let Shane go. He's going to get me. Bear with me tomorrow on his show in the morning. Shane Matthews, check him out. Every Pot Up with Matthews, 8 o'clock every morning, right here on these channels. And Shane, thanks a lot, buddy. Talk to you then.
See y'all. Have a good night.
Take care.
All right, so Kev, we've been so busy, friends, we haven't had a chance to even talk about the baseball team. Now they're rallying. What's going on there? Have you been following that at all, Kevin? The baseball
well, I mean,
team?
they've been pitching for sure. Obviously a very good weekend for both Liam Peterson and certainly Aiden King. The first weekend, and I mean, I think Cooper Walls had a shaky, second inning, but then he regrouped, and then Florida finally hit, and that came 3. So I think obviously, and they had 18 strikeouts against FSC. So the pitching is starting to come around. I think the defense remains a question mark, but I think you got to play Brendan Lawson at shortstop because of his bat. But I think he could cost you a game here and there with his glove. But I think you have to live with kind of the positives and the negatives of that. And I guess they just don't want to commit to playing Miller at shortstop for his light bat, and that's how they're going to have to go.
And they've got to get Cade Curlin back at second base. They've got to get him healthy so he can play second. I think that will help the defense enormously.
Have you guys watched any of the World Baseball Classic?
Yeah.
I watched a lot of it, more than I realized I wanted to. And I thought, what is there about this? It's a really meaning. It's like an Olympics, and these guys are playing for their country. Cags is playing really good for now for Italy. They pointed to put up his average for his first year in the bigs was like one out of Harbaugh. He's batting 350 or 360.
364.
364, and in fact they're playing tonight, and let's see, they're up 2-1 over Venezuela, and I know that Venezuela walked the bases, including Walt Kaggs. He scored the first run, and this high quality of baseball, and there's a certain Olympics feeling to it, and I really enjoyed the games. I tried to figure out why, and I think it's because in a day when everybody's talking about contracts and money and millions and billions of dollars, where these guys are playing not for money. I mean, it's what we believe our players do, but the fact is they probably don't. I think it's been terrific. I'm hearing talk now about the possibility of it being played next time. What is it, every 5 years, whatever it is, every 4 years, whatever it is, playing in the middle of the season. How would you guys like to see that happen?
I would like to see it because I do think playing it at this time of year is still a little gimmicky because you're ramping up the pitchers. We're only going a few innings. Now Nolan McLean is supposed to start the championship game for Team USA, and I'm scared to death as a Mets fan. Like, I don't want to see him get hurt. But at the same token, if you had the pitchers more ramped up in the middle of the season where they could go 6-7 innings starters, I think that would be interesting and intriguing. But you'd have to shut down the season a couple of weeks, so who knows about that? Maybe maybe you play the World Baseball Classic with the baseball players on strike if that's going to happen in 2027.
Yeah, I've seen some terrific plays, and what I found out, there's some awful good players that we don't know about, in baseball, and some of these younger players around these World Baseball Classic teams are really good. And it's been fun to watch, and I'll watch it again. I really enjoyed it.
I think it's good for the game. I think it's good also to see the fan bases of the Latin teams. They are so passionate for their teams. Venezuela, Panama, Cuba, Puerto Rico, Colombia. They're all so passionate for their teams, and that part's fun to watch. I like, it's one of the things I love about March Madness is we see the passion of the fan bases. We don't see empty stadiums and empty arenas at this point. We see
great point. Yeah,
we see that, and it brings out the juices start flowing and the games get emotional. And the cool thing about the World Baseball Classic is you got a 40,000 seat stadium filled with people screaming and yelling and drums beating and horns blowing. It's fun to watch.
I didn't know much about it. I couldn't know where the games were played and all that. I started researching it and realized they were playing, they're playing in Houston and Miami and four locations to serve around the country. So
and, circling back to March Madness, Franz, I think obviously this was a goal of season, but to start in Tampa, and hopefully there'll be a lot of Gator fans there, right? You know what I mean? And it'll create that kind of home court atmosphere that you're looking for in your first two, games with your season on the line. Certainly as the number one seed, that's what Florida played for, and they got it. And I would implore any fans who are listening in the Tampa area, come out, man, support this team because it's the second straight year as the number one seed, and to see a team of that caliber and that level of play, they could certainly use the support, particularly the Sunday game. With either Iowa. Well, we know it's a late night tip right on Friday night at 9:25, but you've got the Iowa Clemson winner on Sunday. That should probably be an afternoon game, and it should be a really festive atmosphere in there.
And that's going to be a really, I think, low scoring ball game. I'm looking at, Clemson only averages like 71 a game, and I think Iowa like 74. I'll tell you what, Iowa's got a guard. I mean, my gosh. They've got a guard that named Bennett Sturts. And they got another guard on that ball club, Tavian Banks, who's like a 47% 3-point shooter too. So They're a team. Ben McCollum, who's their coach, basically brought his roster from Drake
team
to Iowa, and they're really really good. But they're both low possession. Get the shot. Get the shot you want. Work the ball. They'll work the shot clock 25 seconds. Both of these teams, and that's the kind of team that's going to test your defensive patience. You can't gamble against these guys, either one of these teams, because they'll beat you. Clemson's runs great backdoor and stuff, and they really cut from the wings very well, get good passes, high post down there to people. And Iowa, they'll patiently work until they get the shot they want. So it's going to test Florida's defensive patience against either one of these teams.
Yeah, and I think for Florida too, I think they're at their best, friends. We can agree offensively when they create turnovers and get easy baskets too. And that might be a matchup where, they'd have to do that and maybe want to get the tempo going a little bit, even though Todd talked about slowing down. I think, taking care of the ball offensively while him maybe creating some turnovers themselves defensively could be key in that matchup. 8 in a row in the state of Florida, by the way, friends. I think we've been to all 8 of them NCAA tournament games, going back to 07. The last time they lost an NCAA tournament game in the state of Florida was 03 when Tom Izzo came in, right?
Yeah.
And beat him up on the board. So I think being in the home state is a big deal and should help Florida immensely, particularly if the fans.
Florida's got to make these next 2 games and whoever they play moving onward. They got to make it one and dones for their other team's offensive possessions. They out rebounded Kentucky 50-29. They out rebounded Vanderbilt 39-23. Problem is they did not have the second chance points that they normally get, and they've got to convert the second chance points. When they do that, and then they create one and done, because they're capable when they get the defensive rebound. They move the ball up the court, I think, faster than any team in the country. And
they do.
Vanderbilt did a great job, I think, of getting in the way of outlet passes. So they forced Florida's tempo to be not as fast as the Gators wanted it to be, and they played at a higher tempo than the Gators wanted them to play.
Yeah. Well, what's with all the turnovers?
Sometimes you just get sloppy, and they've got and you lose focus. I don't think I think the biggest thing that Todd is concerned about are the unforced turnovers, and they had too many of those. Yeah. I think they had 18 turnovers, or was it 19 against Kentucky? There was 18 against Kentucky.
And the points, all the turnovers are quite a few.
And seven of the turnovers against Kentucky were unforced. Okay, they were just bad turnovers. And against Vanderbilt, they had 9 first half turnovers that were converted into 20 points. And I think he's more concerned with the unforced turnovers. They don't turn the ball over that much when they're being guarded. When they turn the ball over, is they get in transition and they'll try to throw an alley-oop or something like that, or make a long outlet pass that's not their thing. And those are the things that I think drives them crazy.
Yeah, and sometimes they ask Alex Condon to do a lot in that point forward spot, and sometimes he can be prone to turn the ball over because of what he's asked to do, and sometimes on the handoffs and so forth. So I think that's something too, that, the way they run their offense sometimes, they ask a lot of Alex, and, but he has delivered scoring wise. He certainly was terrific in that Kentucky game. Not so much in the Vanderbilt game, but for him to be on point. And then of course, Boogie and Xavier too, taking care of the ball, being strong with the basketball, that's going to be key as well. But I do think that, it's something that, they can focus on. They can work on a little bit in practice. They're going to have some extra time, obviously, playing Friday. And I'm sure it's something Todd and the staff are definitely going to address, certainly going into this weekend.
I will say it played hard. That play by Handgloden was amazing, where he got off the floor, and got knocked down, got up, and did a line drive jam. That ball was right in the bucket. That was amazing. That was one of the biggest hustle plays I've seen. So it's not that they don't play hard; they do play hard. Tommy Hoff's not got his game on exactly right now, not going well, and the guards didn't shoot as good as they have shot in the past. So I'm hoping it's a temporary issue for them and a matchup. I'm still not happy how they played. I know you got to give something up. They gave up the threes to the big guys, but anyway, as far as better basketball,
the shift. Vanderbilt, what is like basically a hockey arena, and then same thing with Tampa. Sometimes the shift to the bigger arenas, the backgrounds too.
That's a very good point. I agree with that.
And maybe being exposed to it in Nashville might help going to Tampa in that regard, and maybe get some extra shooting in during some of the pre games and the shoot arounds and stuff.
The arena is built by the Tampa arena and the Nashville arena, built by the same people too. I mean, it's almost the exact same background that you're going to have. So, Kevin, that's a good point that you make, because Florida also did its shoot around over at Vanderbilt before the Kentucky game. And so that was the first time they had been in the arena since last year. And I think that kind of threw them off. And to another point you made earlier, Kevin, I think Florida needs a game in which they feel the presence of their own fans. They do feed off that energy. And you could feel the energy for Kentucky and for Vanderbilt both Friday and Saturday, because the Big Blue Nation, I mean, my gosh, that game was sold out. Yeah. And I bet you 14,000 of the seats were there to Kentucky. Let me tell you all a quick one though. I'm coming out of the parking garage there in Nashville Saturday morning, and there's this Kentucky guy, and he's holding up 4 tickets, and this Gator walks up to him and says, "How much you want for them tickets?" And he says, "Well, the face value is $75 each." And he said, "I've had an offer for $30 each." The guy says, "I'll give you 5. The guy says, 30. He says, "Okay, $3. The guy says, "You're kidding." He says, "No." He holds up $20 bill. He says, "I'll take those tickets down." Kentucky guy sold it. There were Alabama people on the street corner as we're going into the media entrance selling tickets. Some people even just, this one guy holding a sign said, buy one, get 2 free.
Arkansas showed up pretty well too, Franz, didn't they? Right, for the finals.
They did a really.
They're a pretty good fan base. It's a shame. I get frustrated sometimes that Florida doesn't travel better for some of these things, but the geography of it. I mean, Nashville is an 8-hour drive from the state line compared to Arkansas, which is like 5 or 6. It's probably a little bit easier. But you still like to see, coming off a defending championship, Florida have a presence. But it'll be good this weekend in the state to have that presence this weekend.
We had a strong presence, I thought, last year. A far better road presence, I thought, than we had in 2006, 2007, or 2014. I thought last year the road presence for Florida at Charlotte, again in San Francisco, and of course in San Antonio, I thought that was the best road presence I've seen for Florida basketball ever, I think.
Yeah, San Antonio was tremendous. The fans showed. I mean, it was like it was a lot like Miami, Indiana with that Houston, Florida game. I mean, it was a split crowd for that game, that national title game. So I give Florida a lot of credit for showing out and flying out and spending the money to go to San Antonio for the Final Four last year.
All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up with give me the player you think is going to step up for Florida this weekend and show out.
Franz, I'll let you go first. Oh, yeah, let me go first. I think Condon. I think Alex Condon, he's been playing well. And I think there's going to be a little bit of a redemption with him based on how last year's NCAA tournament went. And I think he's going to want to make a little push here to show the NBA scouts, that he's, close to ready for the next level. So I'm going to go with Alex Condon. I think he's been playing really well the last 2 or 3 weeks.
He has that for sure. Franz?
I'm going with Ruben. And I think Ruben has got to have particularly Sunday against either Clemson or Iowa. I think Ruben's got to come up really, really big on the backboards, and I think if he comes up big and provides a good inside presence, which I hope means going up and deciding that if you get in my way, I will dunk you and the basketball. I think that's the one thing that's really missing from his game is that fierceness to dunk the ball consistently. And I think and just if they're going to try to foul you, if they're going to try to stop you, they're going to have to foul you. And I think that's going to be his attitude because he really wants this championship.
How's the shooting going to be?
I think it'll be better. It can't get much worse than it was these 2-game stretch. And I think, they are doing a lot running Klopscher off the line. And I think, they'll try to find some adjustments to screen him, and he's going to have to make some adjustments as well to work hard to get open.
All right.
He had a couple bad games early. The UConn and Duke games, he was not an effective shooter, but after that, he got into a groove again, and I think that's what will happen with him.
All right, guys, great job. Appreciate it, Kevin. Reading the games of the sun. Catch him on the podcast, friends. Your book is out there available. You go to Spurs.com/shop. Get an autographed copy of The Golden Season. You'll be glad you did. Thanks, guys. Good job. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
All right, folks. That'll wrap up the night with our outstanding guest. Appreciate you listening and watching on the program. And we're going to tell you about our final sponsor tonight. And we're going to tell you about how much we appreciate what they do for us. And that would be Titan MRI and Imaging. They have 3 locations to serve you now, about to get 4 if they open one in Marion County soon. Then they have the one in Millennium Center, Park Avenue, and in Lake City, serving all of Columbia County and Valdosta. Titan MRI and Imaging offers the same great customer service, now accept insurance, or you can go through the convenient self-pay option. Titan MRI Imaging, you can get CAT scans, and you can get the good thing about them is they're customer oriented. And the one thing that's a lost art today is, in fact, customer service. It's almost a customer no service. And they specialize in that at Titan MRI Imaging. They want you to know they're there for you, trying to make your experience better in every way. For instance, you might not like those small confining tubes when you're going to get an MRI. I know I've gone through my time with them, and you certainly, if you got any claustrophobia at all, you don't want to go through that. They have the larger MRI machines for that very reason. So if you don't like those, you call them up. If you can't come in the daytime or in the nighttime, daytime, they'll customize your appointment. They'll even bring somebody in at nighttime just to make sure that things are taken care of for you and you get what you need. So they're very customer oriented, and they really do take care of you at Titan MRI Imaging. So they have several locations to serve you, like I said, coming soon, hopefully, to Marion County, my hometown, where they will be. And so thanks again for everybody for listening tonight, to our sponsors. And tomorrow morning, I'll be on with Shane. Check it out. Tomorrow night, Lowdown with Lauren Meadows. Have a good night, folks.